Hello, my awesome friends. We are back talking about tools and techniques in the PMBOK Guide, 6th edition for your PMP exam. And today we're talking about data analysis tools and techniques. That stuff. Well, in data analysis, it starts off with the big AA, alternatives analysis. Now think about it. What alternatives are you analyzing? You're analyzing alternatives for carrying out the knowledge area or for carrying out the process. Then we have assessment of other risk parameters, which has those 9 ghastly looking things with the word propinquity in it. You need to understand that manageability, detectability, dormancy, and so on. There are 9 of those assessment of other risk parameters, 9 other risk parameters you need to take a look at. We've got assumptions and constraint analysis. What is that? It's really just checking your assumptions and constraints and making sure they're truly what they are. Then we have the cost of quality. You got to know your cost of conformance and your cost of non-conformance, or you're doomed on the exam if you come across those. Now we find cost of quality in both plan quality management and estimate cost for obvious reasons. It's called the cost of quality. It marries the world of cost and quality, of course, but you already knew that. Then we've got the cost benefit analysis, and a lot of people, they get confused. What's the difference between the CBA and COQ? Well, the cost of quality shows you the entire cost you will incur across the product life. It's not just the project, it's the product life. CBA looks at alternatives. COQ does not look at alternatives. CBA will show you why it makes sense to probably go ahead with a quality initiative. The COQ does not do that, but it will show you what the total cost of quality could be or is, which is scary. Think about the company with the runaway cars. Enough said. Next, we're talking about decision tree analysis. And you do know that in the PMBOK guide, we have that very elaborate image that shows the breakdown to different alternatives. You got to be able to break down stuff and know your expected monetary value. It's probability times impact, and apply that to your decision tree. You also need to remember that in your decision tree analysis, we're thinking about profit quite a lot. We're not just looking at revenues, but you need to boil down the profit and multiply that by the probability. All right, moving along here, let's go into the topic of document analysis. What is a document analysis? A document analysis is where you are analyzing documents for various reasons. You're trying to glean information from those documents. You do it in closed project or phase. You make sure that you've got all your ducks in a row. You do it in collect requirements, because through analyzing your documents, you can understand business requirements and other requirements. You also do it in manage quality. You also do this in identify risks. And you also do this in identify stakeholders. Think about it. If you analyze documents, you identify more stakeholders. If you analyze documents, you identify risks. But when we talk about identify risks and document analysis, we're not just talking about project documents. We're talking about project documents and plans. You see where I'm going with this? Okay, enough said. Earned value analysis. Someone said, Phil, is there a difference between EVA and EVM? And I said, of course, there's no difference, except the word A for analysis and M for management. They both give you the gory details of the S's and the C's. And these, my friends, you need to know. And everything else, the TCPIs, the BAC1, the EAC, TCPI, and of course, ETC, VAC, you need to know these things, right? And of course, the horrendous EACs and all the allotropes of it. You have to know that. Influence diagrams. Now, this has a very, very sketchy definition in the PMBOK guide. And I would say when it comes to these influence diagrams, you probably want to throw away the page at that point, because it doesn't really do much good. I would say go to Wiki, Mr. Jimmy Wales' site, check out his definition. There's more meat on the bone of that one, I'll tell you. Now, I mean, it's so sketchy. It just says influence diagrams are graphical aids to decision making under uncertainty. But why would you define an influence diagram with a definition and no diagram? Seriously? Seriously? Are you defining an influence diagram without showing us what the thing is? You see why I'm telling you to go to Jimmy's website? Wikipedia is what I'm talking about. Why would I say go to Wikipedia? Because they have an image of the thing. There's no image in the PMBOK guide. Now, if I go to Wikipedia to take a look at their representation of what this thing is, I can at least make sense of what they're saying. Weather forecast is going to have a bearing on our vacation activity. And that will also have some bearing on our satisfaction. And by the way, these shapes actually do mean things. Satisfaction. And the weather itself will influence the weather forecast and, of course, influence our satisfaction. So when you take a look at their definition, it now makes sense. It says an influence diagram is a compact graphical representation of a decision situation. What vacation activity are we going to engage in? Well, it's really a factor of this thing, which is a factor of this thing. Now, I know I'm explaining this to you in very, very high level terms, but at least you begin to make sense out of what the PMI are saying in the PMBOK guide on page 436. And now when you go back, it says, influence diagrams are graphical aids to decision making under uncertainty. An influence diagram represents a project or situation within the project as a set of entities, outcomes, and influences. Outcomes, satisfaction. Influences, that's an influence. That's an influence. You see that? Together with the relationships and effects between them. So at least it's put a face to the name. And I took time out specifically to explain this one, because if you take a look at what is in the PMBOK guide, sometimes it just doesn't make sense. And you are going to have to do the runaround, just like I did right now, to really understand what on earth are they saying. You get what I'm saying? Good. Okay. So far we've been talking about the data analysis tool and technique. We've talked about document analysis. We talked about earned value analysis. We talked about influence diagrams. And now we're going to iteration burn down charts. Your burn down chart shows you what you are planning to do on the project. Of course, this would be maybe the number of hours or effort, if you will. And it could be anything. It could be effort, it could be number of requirements, it could be a number of things. But we've got what we're planning to do, and then the actual usually looks something like this. The real world, unfortunately. And then at the end of the project, somehow it magically collides to show you blue is a plan and black is the reality. You see what I'm saying? So iteration burn down chart, you're gonna know it. Make or buy analysis is used to decide whether to make or buy something. Performance reviews are used especially to understand how we're performing across the project. And you see these in usually the controlling, or should we say, monitoring and controlling processes. So you see this in control, schedule, and control quality, and control resources, and control procurement, for example. Okay? Process analysis is a very unusual one because you only find this in manage, quality. Okay? You only see that in manage quality. And what are we doing? We're analyzing the process so that we can improve on that thing. Okay? Proposal evaluation needs no introduction. A proposal evaluation evaluates proposals to make a decision. Regression analysis is another one. And regression analysis is only found as a sub-tool and technique in closed project or phase. And there we begin to realize why the results of the project are what they are. We see the contributors to our result. What contributed to our result? That's what we do there, okay? Risk data quality assessment is the next one. Oh, I beg your pardon, it's reserve analysis. So let's backtrack. Reserve analysis analyzes the reserves you've got. Do we have enough dollars? Do we have enough buffer in the schedule? Do we have enough contingency reserves for risks? So you talk about this in chapter 6, in chapter 7, and in chapter 11. Risk data quality assessment, also in chapter 11, is specifically used in perform qualitative. Why? Because we want to understand if we have, I call it great data or crummy data. If we got great data, good. If we got crummy data, let's recollect. Let's go through identify risks and a little bit of qualitative all over again because what we've got is off. Or the entire perform qualitative risk analysis needs to be redone. Okay? Next one we've got is risk, probability, and impact assessment. What do we do here? Remember that matrix in the PMBOK guide? The P times I matrix, probability times impact. But this is qualitative. You got to remember, okay? So risk, probability, and impact assessment is used in qualitative to find your risk score. Okay? Good. The next one we've got here is sensitivity analysis. And you know what you need to think about? This thing, the tornado diagram. Again, go to Jimmy's page, check it out, and get to a good understanding of what it is. The wider the band, the more sensitive the risk. Enough said. Simulation. What is simulation? Simulation uses most commonly a Monte Carlo to simulate the project several thousands of times for you to understand what the possible outcome is. Next, we have stakeholder analysis. And stakeholder analysis analyzes stakeholders based on a number of parameters. Now, unlike what many people think, your stakeholder analysis is not the same as what you do in data representation with the power interest grid. No. When we talk about stakeholder analysis in chapter 13, we're talking about certain specifics. So let me remind you what we're talking about. We're talking about an analysis of the customer or the stakeholder, whoever that person is, and their interests, their rights, their ownership of an asset or property, their knowledge, and their contribution. So think about it like that. I rock. You do rock. But I stands for interest, R stands for rights, O stands for ownership, K stands for knowledge. And just remember, we exchange the C and the K. The K is for knowledge, the C is for contribution. I rock. So you need to remember interest, rights, ownership, contribution, and knowledge. That's what you do in your stakeholder analysis. Okay? Now, a lot of people mix this up with data representation where we use the power interest grid, but no. That is a different day, not today. Okay? Now, still talking about data analysis, you can see it's quite a beast, but I did want to give you a treat to talk about this today. Still talking about that, we have a few more things to talk about. So after simulation and stakeholder analysis, we have the SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And we use this to better understand risks. We use it for identification of risks. We've got TPA, technical performance analysis, which looks at the technical scope achieved at a milestone. Is that the tech scope we were looking to? We've got 50 out of 80 requirements. Is that what we were looking to do? Yes. Oh, good. We're right on the milestone. But if you had only 30, less functionality than planned, that's a red light right there. That shows us there could be risks. So where do we do this? Think about it. The same place you identify new risks. Monitor risk, okay? Trend analysis, looking for trends. Performance trends on your project. Variance analysis, looking for variance trends on your project. And what if scenario analysis. And most commonly, we will talk about the Monte Carlo again here, but you don't need a Monte Carlo to do a what if scenario analysis. You need a piece of software, some sort of method to substitute values to find out what happens if this variable ends up being more, less, equal, whatever. And we could use things like Microsoft Project and Excel for this. So we've talked about quite a number of things today, my friends. Now, in closing, I want to alert you to where you can get all the rest of this stuff talked about in a very robust manner. But I must hold true to mentioning all of these other tools and techniques. So under data representation, we have affinity diagrams, cause and effect diagrams, control charts, flow charts, hierarchical charts, histograms, logical data models, matrix diagrams, mind mapping, prioritization ranking, probability and impact matrix, responsibility assignment matrix, scatter diagrams, stakeholder engagement assessment matrix, I call it the SEAM, stakeholder mapping / representation, text-oriented formats. And under decision-making tools and techniques, we have MCDA, multi-criteria decision analysis, we have voting, and we have autocratic decision-making. Under communication skills, tools and techniques, we have communication competence, we have feedback, we have nonverbal, and we have presentations. And under interpersonal skills, tools and techniques, interpersonal and team skills, tools and techniques, we have some of my favorites. But Before I tell you about the favorites, I wanted to let you know that if you really enjoyed going through tools and techniques at a rapid pace, and it's like, yeah, I am benefiting from this, keep that motor running. You probably want to go to Praizion.com for one reason. There's a boatload more of this approach on Praizion.com. So if you go to Praizion.com, you'll find Tools and Techniques Turbo. Tools and Techniques Turbo. Let's click on it. It will take you to where you can instantly access these videos about the tools, techniques, inputs, and outputs all at once. Here's a crazy curriculum, and it's very similar to what I'm dishing out right now. So if that sounds like something you would be interested in, I would advise you to go to Praizion.com right there. You're going to have to scroll down because it's not at the top of the page, it's on the third line. But Tools and Techniques Turbo, I tell you, it has helped many people. This curriculum right here has helped so many people master the tools and techniques. Okay? And that is what I would advise you to do. So going back to what we were discussing, let us round up our interpersonal team skills, tools, and techniques. We have active listening, we have communication styles assessment, we have conflict management, cultural awareness, decision making, emotional intelligence, facilitation, influencing, leadership, meeting management, motivation, negotiation, networking, nominal group technique, observation, conversation, observation and conversation, political awareness, and team building. Now, my favorite, the ungrouped. The ungrouped tools and techniques. So again, I am helping you read these out so that as you're doing your chores, taking a chill pill, driving about town, as you hear me mention these, look, 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 look here. What am I saying? I want you to use this as a trigger, okay? That's why I'm saying, look here. There's value in what I'm doing. I'm helping you. If I define them for you, you may not know that you don't know them. But as I'm calling out these keywords, I want you to ask yourself the question, do I know what that is? And do I know where it is used? And if the answer is, Phil, I've heard it, but no, I do not know what that thing is, it means that you need to stop the recording at some point and go look it up. All right, you ready? Let's talk about my favorite, the ungrouped tools and techniques. Advertising. What are you advertising? Agile release planning. Have you taken a look at how iterations become tasks? Analogous estimating. Another name for analogous estimating is what? Audits. Where do we use these audits? Is it only in procurement, or do we use them in other places? Bidder conferences, you know that one, bottom-up estimating. What is the difference between bottom-up estimating and top-down estimating? Which of the estimatings is top-down? How accurate is bottom-up versus top-down? Do you even know what I'm talking about when I say top-down? Change control tools. What is a change control tool? Where is it used? Claims administration. What exactly are you administering, and what kind of paperwork do you think you're dealing with? Loose matrix versus tight matrix. What is that? I wonder. Well, think about the word co-location. What do you think co-location is? Is it a tight matrix or a loose matrix? That will keep you thinking. Communication methods. We have three communication methods. What are they? Communication requirements analysis. What is the formula for that? Communication technology. What are the factors that drive your choice of technology? There are 7 factors explicitly mentioned in the PMBOK guide. What are they? Do you know? And by the way, if you have not hit thumbs up or like, you know you ain't shown your buddy Phil some love. I want you to drop me a like on this one. I'm dropping you some gold. If you've listened this far, you're either one of my raving fans or just a good old PMBOK guide student. But I would still like your like. Communication technology, my friends, you got to know those factors that trigger your choice of technology. What is the difference between a CD and a LDM? What is CD? Context diagram. What is LDM? Logical data model. What are the differences? You got to know them. See how I'm pushing you to the limit? Contingent response strategies. What is the difference between a contingent response strategy and a contingency reserve? Think about that. Cost aggregation. What is the difference between cost aggregation and bottom-up estimating? Don't return these questions to me. Answer them. If you want to put an answer down below, feel free to do that. All right. Critical path method. What is the critical path? Why do they say it's the longest path but the shortest time? Does that even make sense? Tell me. All right. Decomposition. Where is decomposition used? 2 places. Dependency determination and integration. What is the difference between that versus task relationships? In other words, finish to finish, start to start, start to finish, and finish to start. What is the difference between this and this? Do you know? All right. Expert judgment needs no introduction, but really, where is that expertise coming from? EJ comes from financing. There is only one place that is used. You better know it. Funding limit reconciliation. What is the difference between funding limit reconciliation versus project funding requirements? Do you know? Ground rules. Where is ground rules mentioned? 1, as a tool and technique, and 2, where is it as a sub output? Do you know that? I thought you did. Maybe I was wrong. I hope I am. Not wrong. Individual and team assessments. Where do we use ITAs? And from individual and team assessments, we get TPAs. One has an I, one has a T at the beginning. Individual versus T. This is an output, right? And this one is a tool and technique. Individual and team assessments is used to get your team performance assessments. I just helped someone there. I comes before T in the alphabet. The tool and technique comes before the output. Get it? Good. Okay. So I did jump HIR, Historical Information Review. HER, Historical Information Review. What exactly is that? What are we reviewing and why? Okay. Information management. One of my favorites is used in integration. What is the difference between IM and KM? Information management versus knowledge management, and you know they are both used in a particular process. Enough said. Let's talk about one of my favorites, inspection. We use this in 3 places. We use this in one place beginning with S, one place beginning with Q, one place beginning with P. Where is that? Knowledge management, I mentioned this just now, it's used somewhere. Where is it used? What is the difference between knowledge management versus information management? I'll tell you. The difference between knowledge management and information management is these people. This makes the difference. Information management is just this. Giving you a clue here. All right. I know I've gone over 20 minutes, so stop judging. Yes, you win. I went over 20 minutes. Yes, yes, yes. Leads and lags. Where do we use them? What is a lead? What is a lag? Meetings. I talked about meetings a few days ago. Remember? Okay. Now, organizational theory, Maslow's, McGregor's, Herzberg, and the like. Parametric estimating. Do you know that you can use parametric for a portion of the project or the entire thing? Pre-assignment is the next one. When does pre-assignment take place? Is it during the project or is it outside of the project? Or is it both? What do you think? There's a word, pre. Pre means before, so I'm kind of giving it away. Problem solving is next. You got to know where those are used. You got to know your DIGCIV, D-I-G-C-I-V, okay? Product analysis, what is it? Where do we use it? One place. Why do we use it? Go find out. PMIS. Why is the PMIS an EEF? Prompt list. Give me some examples of prompt lists. VUCA, teacup, pestle. If that sounds like Greek, go back to the drawing board. Prototypes. What do prototypes allow you? Early feedback of what? Quality improvement methods. How do you improve quality? There are certain methods PMI mentioned in the PMBOK guide. Recognition and rewards. R&R, very important. We need to put aside some money, some dodo for that. Some big bucks, hopefully. Those of you who don't reward team members, I feel sorry for you. Representations of uncertainty. Does this ring a bell? Which one is normal? Which one is triangular? Which one is beta? Which one is uniform? You should know some of this stuff, okay? And you should know why we care about representations of uncertainty. I'm going to drop some more gold here. I want you to go to a website called palisade.com. It will enrich your project management. And for absolutely $0, you can find out so much more about risk management. All right. My friends, we're almost at the end of this journey. Almost. Resource optimization is important. So, when are we using resource leveling versus resource smoothing? What are the major differences between these two? Which one operates in the confines of slack and float? Do you know? Do you know or not? Newsflash. Project managers getting ready for the PMP exam. If you are finding tools and techniques a nightmare, you need to go to Praizion.com and you really need to sign up for Tools and Techniques Turbo. It is available at quite a ridiculous price, I see, in the United Kingdom, because I can see it's only £31, a measly £31. That is so ridiculous. And it actually seems like it has a human being by the name of Phil who is trying to help you. I would advise you go sign up for that. Enough said. Let's go back to our final TTs. So, my friends, we have risk categorization, categorizing risks in a particular risk process, Do you know that you categorize risks in perform qualitative risk analysis and not identify risk? Did you know that? I just dropped some gold for someone. I don't want you to struggle too much. Just a bit. Just a bit in finding the answers. Rolling wave planning. We're rolling waves and planning. It sounds like fun, like surfing or something. Where do we use RWP? Which process? Do you understand the concept of rolling wave planning? That is a type of PE. I'm not talking about physical and health education. I'm talking about progressive elaboration. Rolling wave planning is a type of PE, progressive elaboration. And it's very important because you use this for projects that span across several time periods and have several divisions. Enough said. We are going in to the big finish now. Big finish. Ungrouped tools and techniques, my friends. Ungrouped tools and techniques, we've got schedule compression, we've got schedule network analysis, we've got source selection analysis, we've got strategies for opportunities, we've got strategies for overall project risks. Now, what is the difference between strategies for opportunities, strategies for overall project risk, and strategies for threats? They all seem the same, so how do we keep them straight? Strategies for overall project risks are a much higher level of thinking. Strategies for threats and strategies for opportunities are at the task level. Okay? All right. We are almost done. Test and inspection planning is a tool and technique of what? Testing/product evaluations is a tool and technique of what? Think about it. The actual evaluations are different from the planning. I just helped someone there. 3-point estimating. We've got two types. We've got beta, we've got triangular. The PMI was very kind to tell you beta is used in certain circumstances. Triangular is not used in those circumstances, but it is used in other circumstances. So, new technology, never been done before. Which would we use, beta or triangular? You should know that, okay? The two complete performance index, I talked about this previously. You got to understand the BAC TCPI is zero intervention, and the EAC TCPI is with management. Your friends in management have intervened by giving you some dodo. And that is what makes us curious to know what the EAC would be with the dodo. Training is our next thing here, my friends. Okay, you got to understand Tuckman's ladder and understand that sometimes sending people for training is going to help them move through those steps in the ladder. Or should I say, rungs in the ladder. Virtual teams. This is twofold. We find this in two places. What are the two places? And my friends, we've come to the end of the run-through of all the tools and techniques. I told you I would cover each one. Now, while 20 minutes was quite ambitious, you will agree that 1 hour is not bad. So, again, remember to visit www.praizion.com. Take a look at Tools and Techniques Turbo. This is going to save someone who's struggling with the tools and techniques, to be precise. If I were you, I would hit that up so quick, they wouldn't know what hit it. And that, my friends, is all I've got for today. Thank you very much for joining me, and I wish you all the best on your PMP or CAPM exam. I am looking for an A++ result. I know you absolutely can do it, but you got to put in the work, you got to put in the effort. You got to take the crazy mock exams on Praizion.com. We got 3 ridiculous mock exams, and they are right there on Praizion.com. So go check out the mock exams as well. Check out the Tools and Techniques Turbo. And if you're like, Phil, I am so in trouble. I got no clue what I'm doing. I got no clue what my teacher's telling me in these PMP classes. You need to go to Praizion.com, and you need to go to the very first course, PMP Exam Prep Camp 2018, because your problem is more than tools and techniques. It's a bigger problem that needs a bigger solution. This. All right, so go to Praizion.com, sign up for a course. We'll help you. We'll get you all the answers you need to succeed. And those of you who are already on the training, well, hello, good to see you here again. If you're not taking advantage of asking questions in the forums, your instructor, you're doing it wrong. Ask questions, get clarity. All right? Thank you very much. And I wish you all the very best. Have a lovely, lovely Yuletide, for want of a better word, or should I say a more modern word. But seriously, have a lovely Christmas celebration. Have a lovely New Year. Those of you who are like on the sidelines and thinking, I need to do this course, just do it. Do it. Do it. Don't get into 2020 on the sidelines. Those on the sidelines, they always get, you know what. So get off the sidelines and jump in. Take care, my friends. I'll speak to you hopefully very, very soon. Bye for now.